2 tampons may mean my marriage is over. I've been together with my husband for 7 years, and we've been married for 4. Throughout our relationship, I've never had any reason to suspect he was unfaithful or dissatisfied with our marriage. He often jokes that we're still in the honeymoon phase, even after 5 years and 2 kids. I wouldn't have questioned this or him if it weren't for a surprising discovery I made in his car last month. While securing our daughter in her car seat, I noticed something tucked between the cushions. I retrieved it and realized it was a tampon. This wouldn't have been strange except that I've had an IUD that stopped my period for the past year. And the tampon's wrapper style was unfamiliar to me. I brought it to my husband's attention, and initially, he didn't grasp what it was or why I was holding it. It wasn't until I explained where I found it and why I believed it wasn't mine that he seemed to understand. He casually suggested it might belong to his coworker, Fiona. Given that my husband often carpool with his coworkers for lunch, and we're both close to Fiona and her husband, I considered it plausible that the tampon might have slipped out of her purse during one of these trips. So, I didn't think much of it at the time. I put the incident out of my mind until a couple of weeks later when we had dinner with Fiona and her husband. I genuinely wanted to believe my husband's explanation, but I couldn't shake the peculiar way the tampon had been tucked into the car seat and his apparent lack of concern about it. I wondered if he was feigning ignorance. Uncertain, I did something that now feels somewhat irrational. During our outing with Fiona, I faked an emergency and asked her if she happened to have any tampons. She handed me one that was nearly identical to the tampon I had found in our backseat, and I felt a sense of relief. Perhaps the tampon I discovered in the car was indeed the same one from Fiona. And there was likely a reasonable explanation for why it had been left there in the first place. I thought I had put this strange episode behind me until this morning when I found another tampon. This time in my sock drawer. The mere thought of my husband having an affair makes me physically ill, and the idea that this woman might have left these tampons for me to find is even more nauseating. If it was indeed my husband's coworker, why would she have given herself away by offering me one the other night? Under normal circumstances, I would want to discuss this with my husband. But I feel too unwell and embarrassed to broach the subject with him. What should I do?